Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners. This episode of Word Balloon is brought to you by AlexRossArt.com. Alex has a brand new graphic novel coming out from Marvel and Abrams Books, Fantastic Four Full Circle. It comes out September 6th. It's a rainy night in Manhattan, and not a creature is stirring except for the Thing, Ben Grimm. When an intruder suddenly appears inside the Baxter Building, the Fantastic Four find themselves surrounded by a swarm of invading parasites. These carrion creatures, composed of negative energy, come to Earth using a human host as a delivery system. But for what purpose? And who's behind this untimely invasion? The Fantastic Four have no choice but to journey to the Negative Zone, an alien universe comprised entirely of antimatter, risking not just their own lives, but the fate of the cosmos. Fantastic Four Full Circle is the first long-form work written and illustrated by acclaimed artist Alex Ross, who revisits a classic Lee Kirby story from the 60s and introduces the storyline for a new generation of readers. Bold, vivid colors, his trademark visual storytelling, Ross takes Marvel's first team of superheroes to places only he can illustrate. The book also features a special poster jacket with the front flap unfolding to reveal an all-new, fully painted origin story of the Fantastic Four. Again, Fantastic Four Full Circle, out September 6th. For more details, go to AlexRossArt.com. Out now from DC Comics, it's Dead Man Tells the Spooky Tales. Franco of Superman Adventures, Aw Yeah Comics, and Tiny Titans fame presents 15 tales narrated by Dead Man himself, Boston Brand, that will shock and delight horror fans of all ages. 15 stories created by Franco and 15 amazing artists, presenting bold art and great storytelling. This is a great present for the fall and holiday seasons to young readers or to share with your children at nighttime story time. The book is out now from DC Comics. It's Dead Man Tells the Spooky Tales. Pick up your copy online or your favorite comic store today. Welcome back, everybody. It's time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show, although today we're also talking movies as well as comics. John Suntress here. Happy to welcome Elsa Charretier back to Word Balloon. Elsa, yes, it's great to see you. And
you
as always, you got a picture-perfect shot. And as I told you, I'm killing vampires in my background.
I'm very glad to be back. Thank you for having me again.
Well, Elsa, truly, every time you're doing something new, I'm taken aback by your creativity, your ambitions, and now, again, we all adore your artwork that we've enjoyed in books like November and Love Everlasting, and now both as a comic and a short movie. Yourself, your partner, and James Tynan are doing Room Service. Boom.
Yeah, we are. Very excited about it. We've been funding for the past 26 or 27 days, I believe. So we have 3 days left to wrap up funding and get as high as we can, because all the money that we get is going to go towards funding the movie. And
wow.
Movies, even short movies, are ridiculously expensive to produce.
Yes. So what inspired wanting to do a movie? I mean, again, I appreciate the that you're doing a horror comic and everything, but yeah, tell me how all this came together.
It's both a long story and a very short one, in the sense that it's something that PK, who's directing the movie, my partner, and we did a bunch of books together. He grew up he wanted to become a director. That was his call, and I knew we've known each other for a long time, and I knew him when we were both 12 and 13. And even back then, yes, we go way back. He wanted to be a director, and he would direct plays at the school that we were in. And that was the plan. Like, I saw him as a future director. I actually wanted to be an actor at the time, so it sort of made sense. I actually acted in those early short movies he did when we were teenagers. But then he discovered comics, fell in love with comics, and he started writing for them, and he sort of took a detour, an 8 or 9 year detour, working on comics and publishing all the books that we've published, until we did the YouTube channel that we have talked about before about storytelling. And I think it sort of rekindled his love for movies. Not that he had fallen out of love for movies, but it was just like asleep, that passion.
Yeah.
And it just rekindled that love. And so he just basically just told me one day, I think I want to go back to directing movies. And so it's been a long way coming, but then the actual putting together the project was kind of really fast.
So did you guys approach James Tynan, or how did James get involved in the
Yeah,
project?
we did approach him. So the idea was that we wanted to find a very talented writer. Of course, you always want the best work to work with you naturally, but we also wanted someone. We knew that we would produce this as an independent short film, and that requires a very specific set of skills in addition to being a good writer. And we knew that James had those skills, both as a businessman, sort of a visionary of how he saw his career and the industry of comics. And we had a pretty good idea that it would translate into indie movies, and we were right. I mean, he's proven to be a great partner in this.
How and I wanna say PK's name properly. Is it Collinet?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Hey, dumb American. So good. I'm glad I
I
got
know
it.
you nailed that. I think it's easier to say than mine, Colline.
Well, honestly, as I've told you before, your guys' videos that you've done are beautifully shot. So it doesn't surprise me. I mean, the guy obviously has a great eye for the camera,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think that's wonderful. Um, is it listen, we've got 3 days left of Kickstarter funding, and we certainly
Hmm.
want you to make as much money as possible. You have reached your goal. In fact, you've almost doubled your goal.
That's
And
right.
will that dictate the length of the film? As you say, no matter the length, making an independent film is a very costly thing. But is there already kind of a set, how a set length, or will this afford perhaps a longer movie? How do you guys see it?
Right now it stands at 16 minutes, sorry. But if we were to reach a higher funding, I don't think we would lengthen the duration of the movie, but it would allow us to get more, better gear, better crew, more experienced actors. Everything would be lifted, everything would be
Sure.
better. And more shooting days would not necessarily mean that the movie itself would be longer, but we would have more time to think about it and reshoot if necessary, and all that stuff that ultimately makes a movie as best as it can be.
Following both you and James on Substack, I've appreciated, and I hope you will speak now to my video and audio audience in terms of the differences between comic book art and storyboarding. It's something that has come up with my friend. I don't know if you've met Gabe Hardman, but a wonderful comic artist and storyboard artist himself.
Oh, I did. I know of him. Naturally, I've never met him, never spoken with him, but I didn't know that he was a storyboard artist too.
So yeah, tell me. Really, I'd love to hear your inspirations and who you look to inspire your storyboard art. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, tell me about your process converting your art to storyboards.
I think my process for doing storyboards for this movie started about 5 years ago. I was at Matt Fractions' house in Portland, and he had that Indiana Jones storyboards.
Oh yeah,
Indiana Jones is one of my favorite movies. It's a
sure.
very, it's a very dear movie to my heart. And he had all the storyboards for the movie, and I was just entranced by the book. So he ended up giving it to me. And I looked at it many, many times, not necessarily with the idea of doing storyboard myself, because at the time making a movie was not even in the air. Just like I was, I was appreciating the transition between those storyboards and the final movie, and how faithful it was actually to those initial storyboards. So I started, I think, my education with that book. When it came to actually doing the storyboards, I Yeah, he is. Like, if you
Yeah,
go to his house and you say, "Oh, I love this," okay, it's yours. You can take it. So I have to
Michael
be
for
really careful when I say I love things because I
Michael for
don't.
the audio audience. Yeah, Michael's like, yeah, fraction's a giver. Absolutely, he is. So very good.
And so, in terms of the storyboard, so PK and I did the storyboards together. I actually drew them because I'm the only one of the team that has actual drawing skills. So
Yeah.
it falls on me. It makes sense. But PK sort of laid out the vision for it. He had everything in his mind, and it was my job to sort of translate that. And we did a first pass at the script with the idea and that he had, and we realized pretty quickly that we were making a comic. Like, it was sort of a succession of still frames. So it looked like a Wes Anderson movie, which I love, I adore, but was not necessarily what we wanted to go for, what he wanted to go for. It took a bit of time to sort of reframe our minds to think in movement, rather instead of thinking in frames and skipping from one moment to the next. So there was that whole shift of mindset to do. It took us about a couple of weeks, I think, to really nail what we wanted. And it's just like everything. When I go from doing covers, like a series of covers, to back to comics, it always takes me a few days to like sort of refrain my mind. Okay, this is how we do comics. And then going back to covers, there's always another few days where I have to sort of get back into it. It was pretty much the same with the storyboards. Once we were in it and we had sort of the mechanics and how it worked, it was sort of natural.
Okay. The as you described in the Kickstarter campaign, this is not only going to be a short movie, but it is also going to be a comic book project. And the comic book, am I correct? Is that sort of a prequel
Yes.
to the film?
Yeah, it is. So the movie is a horror film, horror short film. We're doing a horror comic to go along with it. And so basically, for the movie, James was very interested in delving into the world of the ultra wealthy and what their money can. Basically, they can do anything they want with if they have enough money. And so we have this central character, the caretaker, which is the figure, the red figure, who
Yes.
provides certain type of services for the ultra wealthy. And what we're gonna do in the comic is actually delve into his world and the level of depravity he's willing to go into to satisfy his customers. So there's a lot of world building, and it's gonna be horrifying. The whole concept is just truly horrifying because you know that maybe not this specific set of services exists in real life, but pretty murky stuff happens behind the closed doors for the world of the very rich people.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm very excited. I don't have a script yet, and I'm just very excited to see what James is gonna do with it.
Okay, because God, I really have admired the variant covers that we've seen. This is the Kickstarter exclusive cover, but then here's your cover, which I love.
Yes.
Look at that, amazing! My God, and
Thank you.
absolutely, and Raphael Albuquerque
Yeah.
and Jimmy Mafood. Jim is one of my favorite people.
Yeah, he
Very
was
cool.
he was right at the top of our list when we wanted to hire illustrators. So yeah,
Excellent.
we're doing a set of 6 different variant covers, which we actually just launched because it was for our 100,000 euro stretch goals. So
Yes,
they're available right now, and we're super excited.
and I want to show Cliff Chang's cover too.
Yes.
Beautiful stuff, man. No, very very exciting. Honestly, Michael here. Michael says, "What does Michael say?" I'm thinking this will not be a movie with a happy ending. Probably not. For being honest.
Um, I guess for some people it is. For some people in the story it is. For others, not so much.
Well, and the indulgences of the ultra wealthy certainly have been in the headlines the last few years. You think of
Right.
people like Jeffrey Epstein and his circle debauched, wealthy.
It's funny you should mention that because I was talking with PK and he was like making parallels between the two, and I was like, do you think we can draw parallels? Obviously, we can because you're thinking about it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's horrifying stuff that you can never imagine that people do or would even want to do. But
Is
there are some terrible people out there with a lot of money.
is the Kubrick film Eyes Wide Shut an inspiration for the direction you're going in?
Um, it has some parallels in terms of the story itself. For the directing, for the inspiration for directing the movie, not so much. I think that where PK wants to take this is much more, it's closer to Old Boy, for example.
Yes,
Park's Old Boy, the original, not the
certainly.
not the American
No, no,
redo
I
remake.
know, I know.
Parasite, there are some Parasite influences in there too.
Cool.
Get Out as well, and the remake of The Invisible Man too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh my God, the recent one. Sure.
Yes, I haven't seen it yet. I've seen a scene. PK showed me a scene in the kitchen. And I was like, "Ooh, this is terrible." I will watch it eventually. I just haven't yet.
Well, that's you see, and it's great because you mention, and with a little, not favorably, some of the American attempts to remake some of these wonderful films, and at least in the case of The Invisible Man, which of course wasn't originally, way back when Claude Rains, the early 1930s version, but they took the concept and made a different movie and made, I think, a much scarier movie in the remake. Whereas you got these watered down Old Boy and some of the others that we just mentioned. And yeah, it's okay. I was talking yesterday to the British artist Mark Laming, and we were talking about and I don't know if I'm assuming it made it to French television, but Stephen Moffat, one of the Doctor Who and Jekyll producers, he made his young 20-year-olds relationship comedy Coupling, and
Okay.
his inspiration was Friends, and that makes sense. But then American producers are like, "Hey, let's take Coupling and make an American version of that," and it's like, "No, that's Friends. We already have that. Why would you
Right,
even
right.
think that
And
would work?"
also for for Old Boy, there's
Yes,
something very raw and poetic about how Asian, but specifically Korean cinema, sees the world.
indeed.
And culturally, that doesn't translate.
No,
And it's such a central piece of this cinema, especially for Old Boy, then I don't think you should even attempt to adapt something that is so culturally specific.
it's so nice too that it seems that, and again, you'll forgive the American perspective, but now finally, it seems like the American culture is once again interested in what kind of filmmaking is happening around the world. There have been waves of it before. We certainly saw it with the French New Wave. In fact, Gabe Hardman and I, and our friend Ian Brill, and our friend William Meyer, we just discussed Alphaville, the Godard film. Oh, I love
Oh,
that expression,
I
Ilsa.
haven't seen that one. I've heard of it. I haven't seen. I'm not a huge fan of Godard.
Neither am I, frankly, but it's an interesting movie, and just the idea. And I don't know if beyond, and you just said you haven't seen Alphaville, but the whole, all of the Lemmy Caution films that Eddie Constantine made in the 50s and 60s, and I guess with Godard and actually maybe with other filmmakers, Constantine would continue to make them. They were like Sherlock Holmes for France in terms of just being a franchise of films. And yeah, he fascinates me as an actor, Eddie Constantine. But Alphaville really was this great weird look at technology, and it's very 1984. A lot of
Right.
The Prisoner, the British TV show. Man against machine, society against machine and stuff. So yeah, it's really interesting. But yeah, I forgive me. It's like, hey, I'm talking to a French creator. Wait a minute, hey, we just talked about a great,
No, but it's interesting
great
because
movie.
um, as a French person, that has been very much brought up with American culture. I mean, everyone around the world is
Sure,
more and more Europe. It's incredibly obvious now that I sort of have a gut reaction to old French stuff, because to me it's sort of a caricature of French as a people and as a
Yes.
culture. And I understand that to you it's exotic and it's like, oh, this is so different and so intellectual, but to me it's like the worst part of the French people is the new wave, you know?
I understand. I understand. And you're right. A lot of the acting in Alphaville, it's that Robin Williams used to do that caricature of French people, chain smoking, and no matter what you think, you mean nothing to me. That disinterest in everything. And it, it really plays out in Alphaville. So I can appreciate that, definitely. So would you mind? I'm curious, who might you or PK point me to good French films to watch and enjoy?
Um, okay.
I know that's
I might not be the right person to ask that, but Titan. Have you heard
Oh,
about
of course. Yeah,
yeah,
Tantan. Yeah, are you saying
the that was rewarded at Cannes?
is that? Now, forgive me. All right, no, I'm
Uh,
thinking of Hergé's.
oh no 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 no. Titan. I don't know if it's been. No, it's not been adapted in
Okay,
English, obviously, but it won the best movie in Cannes Festival. Titan, it's called.
okay,
She's done other movies, and it's horror. There's a lot of I, from what PK told me, it's a wonderful movie. It's very hard to watch, but Le Samouraï.
yeah. David suggesting Le
Oh yeah,
Samurai.
right. I haven't seen that many French movies.
Is that Alan
I'm
DeLeon?
an embarrassment to my country.
No, no, no. Is it Alan DeLeon? DeLeon?
Delon,
Is that
yeah, Alain Delon, yep. Oh, I hate that guy. I hate it. I hate him so much. He's that very, French violent figure that
oh,
is
yeah.
like, who has nothing but disrespect for women.
You are
So,
so funny. You know who I will say that I love is Yves Montand. I do like his movies, and obviously I've mostly seen his English speaking movies. Although as a Greek man, I appreciated Kostas Gravas' Z that
mm.
Yves Montand is the lead in, and that's a really great international film. It's about Greek politics of the 1960s.
Oh, okay. Oh,
And
that's
he's-
interesting.
yeah, so yeah, and of course I enjoyed his Marilyn Monroe film Let's Make Love, and he's in Grand Prix.
Mm.
So those are good films, at least international films that I know Yves Montand made and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't grow up watching too many of those movies. Um, I never really took an interest in the earlier French cinema. Not that it's not interesting, it just never really was my thing.
Well, with film school, we had to watch Grand Illusion
Oh,
and
yeah,
and Jules and Jim and
sure.
things like that. So all right, some great comments here. Ramsey says Pierrick is a visual genius with his camera work and editing on your YouTube channel and Kickstarter videos. Was this a different working relationship, perhaps more collaborative?
Well, thank you for him. I will pass along your very nice words. Was it a more different? No, it felt pretty much the same. Although I did feel a stronger responsibility to really translate his thought into my art, which is not my art. I did the drawings, but I feel it's really his work through me, through my hand and what. But in terms of whether was it more collaborative or not, I mean the whole thing, as it was a team effort, most definitely. But it felt very similar, and that's something that I really appreciate working with PK over and over again. Is that no matter what project we work on, no matter how long it's been since we've worked together, we always fall right into it. Everything feels natural, never forced. It's always a pleasure, and I know, and I hope this will not sound like I'm overly confident, but I know that we do things of quality. We produce things that are qualitative, and that's important to me. And when you know that you have a partner that you can count on visually, when Pika said I want to make a movie, never for a second I thought, is he ready? It just never crossed my mind. I know he was. I know that the things he doesn't know how to do yet. He will learn. He's a very fast learner, and he's so he wants to do things so well that I know he'll never let like dumb mistakes
Sure.
happen. So I have like so much confidence
That's
in
excellent.
whatever he does and whatever we do together.
Understood. Will you be involved in casting, and will James as well, or is PK gonna handle all that?
I don't know. We're doing this as James's place in this project will go beyond just having written the script. It'll be a much more collaborative process throughout the entire production of the movie. So yes, James most definitely will have thoughts about the casting, and his thoughts are welcome. I'm sure I'll have mine, but ultimately I think it's up to the director to really decide. Because if it doesn't vibe, if the actors don't vibe with the director, I think it's a recipe for disaster.
Certainly.
We'll have our input most definitely. I know he'll listen to us, but ultimately it's his movie.
Do you have a circle of acting friends that you would consider for this?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Okay.
No, not at all. I sort of, not that I had ties in the industry, because I always felt I was on the margin. I was never really let in. I don't think I really wanted to anyway. But no, I really have no connections to movies beyond my comic book writer friends writing for movies.
I understand. And also, again, forgive me because I know this is very early in the process, but as you say, it is going to be a short film. Do you guys have an idea of what festivals you'd like this to be exhibited at? Is that the plan with this film?
It's not. It's not.
Okay.
So, first of all, there's one thing that's important to take into consideration when you want to show your movie in festival, is that you can't show it anywhere else until it's shown at that festival.
Understood.
That means for Kickstarters, it's tougher because your backers will have to wait, and sometimes they'll have to wait another year. And I don't think that's something that we want to do, first of all. And the goal of that movie is not to be shown at festivals to begin with, is to sort of, it's a first step into the industry. It's for us to, first of all, have fun, do something creative and different. And also the ultimate goal behind this is sort of have this short movie act as a proof of concept for a feature. That's the true goal where we are right now.
Yes.
And so there's no really upside in us showing it in festivals.
Okay. This reminds me, too, of back in the day when David McKean and Neil Gaiman made Miramax.
Oh.
And I have no idea if they exhibited it in, beyond. I mean, I always saw it at either conventions or I remember McKean had a gallery showing of paintings, and alongside that, he showed Miramax and everything. That's funny. Michael says his whole life has been a proof of concept. I can appreciate that. Absolutely. And a few film recommendations. Michael says in Canada, the Quebec filmmaker.
Oh, right. Yeah. But he's Canadian, though. He's not French.
Right. Well, I guess,
But he is a great filmmaker, obviously. Okay. I still have yet to watch Sicario. I haven't watched it. It's on my to-watch list.
Understood. And then Ramsey recommends a French movie that came out through Netflix, Athena, by Romain Gavras.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I'll check it out. Thank you for the recommendation.
Absolutely, as always. Let me ask you about how things are going with. You have been with your sketchbooks and other books through Kickstarter. You seem to really understand the mechanics behind Kickstarter. All right. Well, you tell me. All right, that's part of an answer.
You think you do, and then you don't.
Okay.
You really don't. Every project is very different from the next. I mean, between the art books, we did 2 campaigns for our art books, and those were very similar because it was the same audience. We had people coming back and then some new people coming in, but basically the campaigns were pretty similar. in terms of the curve of funding and what the experience of the campaign was. The campaign for room service was very, very different, to the extent that we were surprised to how it went. It was a slower start, and then it boomed. Then it sort of tapped down for a while, and then we're reaching the last few days of the campaign, so it's gonna go up again. But I think it's a very good reminder not to just apply the same method over and over again and think that it will work every single time. It's really pushed us, this campaign, to do things differently, because we realized that it's harder to sell a movie to comic book fans than it is selling a comic. You'd think, that makes sense once you say it, of course. But we had a different idea going into this, so we really had to take this into account, that feedback from backers, to really adjust the campaign. It has been its own creative journey, the Kickstarter itself. But I'm happy with where we are right now. But no, to answer your question, I don't know what I'm doing. I thought I did, and then I realized, I really don't.
Well, how has your Substack impacted this Kickstarter? Because it would seem, and I really am interested now, because has it been about a year since you began Love Everlasting?
It's been 10 months.
Okay, so yeah, 10 months. So yeah, I mean, I would imagine, well, certainly following yourself and James on Substack and getting the news reports and stuff, I've certainly been aware of what you're doing with room service, and of course, Love Everlasting. But yeah, it would seem like that. Obviously, that community. I mean, tell me, not only your Kickstarter followers, but also your Substack followers. I mean, are you able to gauge,
to some extent?
Involvement? Yeah.
To some extent, but something that you also quickly realized is that you think that comics are a niche, and then you really understand that there are niches inside that niche. It's very compartmented, so you have to really figure out, understand, and learn how to speak to those different niches inside the comic book industry. So yes, we've been able to leverage both James's and my Substack subscribers, most definitely. Yes. But again, we've had to adjust our messaging and how we talked about the campaign.
Was a comic book of room service always part of the plan, or was it a way to tap in to your already established comic book audiences, yourself and James?
The latter. We had not planned to make a comic at first, but then we realized that pretty soon into the campaign we're missing a comic, and the second that we announced the comic, we saw the pledges like going woof. And it, of course, once you say it, of course,
sure.
It's a great companion to the film. I think it's gonna help us dig deeper into the world, the universe of the caretaker and the service that he provides. So I'm glad that we had that feedback. It was very useful, and that's something that's great about Kickstarters. We were talking about it after a couple of days post-launch, that the great thing with Kickstarters, if you listen to backers, you can course correct. When you launch a project into the wild, not through Kickstarter, and if it tanks, then it's too late. And that's the beauty of Kickstarters. If you listen, you'll get great feedback.
That's great to hear, and it doesn't surprise me. And also, regarding the film itself, when fulfillment time happens, will there be hard copy DVDs sent out and digital? I mean, how do you see beyond making it? What else will the backers get?
So the movie's going to be digital. Okay. We're not going to be making a Blu-ray because that's very cost prohibitive.
Sure.
It's also very complicated. It's a whole other process, and we figured that digital or an access through stream would be much easier. We also have, so in addition to the comic, we have an art book, a movie art book, where people will get to see the script, the storyboards, the full movie storyboard is gonna be in the art book. We're gonna have designs. Tonchi Zonchik did the Caretaker's design. Yeah, it's such a wonderful, and we'll have his process in the art book too. There's gonna be interviews. There's gonna be bits about production, things we haven't lived yet. Will be
Understood. Yes.
we have that. We have storyboards for original storyboard art as well, and we have a merch set with a set of prints.
That's great. I
Yeah.
wonder too, even though it is a digital film release, I got to tell you, I love the bonus features that we get on DVDs. Occasionally, they are also released digitally, and that is always my fear of the possibility that we'll get less physical media because I love audio commentaries. I love the behind the scenes interviews. Obviously, you're going to have them in the art book, but will there be a video
Oh, I'm
representation?
sure. I'm pretty sure we will. We just haven't announced it, just in case for some reason or other we can't do it, and we don't want to make false promises. But I'm pretty sure there will be. Yeah,
Okay. What's happening with Love Everlasting?
it's been drawn. Yeah. I'm drawing issue 9 right now.
Oh, I'm not. I don't mean it that way. Say, where the hell is it? Where's issue 9? I don't mean that. How are things going?
No,
How
no,
are?
I knew.
Okay, good.
Don't worry, I figured. It's going great. I've been slower than I think I should have. First of all, we're making a movie, so it takes a bit of time. But yeah, no, I'm very happy with where the story's going. Tom's always delivering wonderful scripts and on time, so it's the dream.
Yeah, but Ilse, you're very fast. You are a fast artist.
I don't know. There are some artists who do like 2 comics a month. Martin,
That's
who does the Ice Cream Man, he
Yes.
draws 2 comics a month. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's an exception, but I
No, so
understand.
I'm just like normal pace, I would
Yeah,
say.
okay. It just seems to, and again, well, then you're making so much stuff in advance that when you do announce Kickstarters and the like, it seems like you're already well
Yeah,
underway
it seems
on
like
your
that,
project.
but you can do a whole lot of things in an entire month. So if you're focused, you can really do a lot of stuff.
Well, I honestly, I truly, this is not hyperbole on my part. I really respect your output and your ambitions. I mean, I'll use the baseball metaphor. You're shooting for the fences, as they say, for home run hitters and everything.
Well,
You
that's
know,
very
yeah,
nice.
absolutely.
I've been thinking about slowing down a little. I'll admit, I'll have to say that I think I'm reaching a point where I'm like, this is all incredibly fun. What about some rest though?
Yes, we're for it.
So, after the movie, we'll see about that.
Good. We don't want you to burn yourself out. And honestly, Ilsa, I spent 30 years in radio, and a good half of that was doing radio production and commercials. And again, I was working for a paycheck, so I was constantly working. I never want to do that again. I truly, I
Yeah.
mean, after, and I enjoyed it, but it just did. It really burned me. I like what I'm doing now with Word Balloon. I like those kind of projects. I have other podcast projects that I am working on, and a few other things. And truly, friends like yourself, your ambitions and ability to multitask and put these energies into different things only inspires me further with my own projects. And I know there are people that are listening and watching that feel the same way.
Well, that's very nice. And I've been trying to. It's ridiculous because I feel like I have the mindset of a pre-retired retired person. But I'm maybe I'm one of those from the generation of I want to retire at 40. I don't want to retire at 40,
No, I
but
get it.
I think I went from how many hours of work can I fit into a week and like maximizing that to how can I do this in like 40 hours a week in tops maximum. In France we have this thing, and it's always, I think other countries sort of envy us and slash laugh at us. We have, I think it was in 40 years ago that we had the 35-hour work week. It's sort of like almost everyone's working at that 35 plus 5 weeks of paid leave a year. So
Wow.
that's a lot compared to other countries. That's a lot. But
Oh
it's
yeah.
sort of like the basic 35 hours a week. Yep, you're good. And I've been thinking, what if I did that? You know, what if I just did 35 hours a week and just did everything that I could within that amount of time? So we'll see. I'm thinking more and more about that and do different things. You know.
Well, organization is the key, and I say that as someone that I wish would adhere to my own advice when it comes to organization. But I know in the case of Matt Fraction and James, I'm talking to Kelly Sue in a couple days about her Historia graphic novels, and yeah, I mean, whenever I see them, like, okay, this is our 30-day plan, this is our 3 month plan,
Oh yes. Oh
and
yes.
I love
There's a crazy amount of organization that goes into everything.
but truly it pays off, and again their output of work always speaks to that. I just got Matt's latest newsletter about his Las Vegas show that he helped write, and I don't know if you saw that video. It's very Cirque du Soleil.
Oh no, I haven't.
It's very interesting, very interesting. Yeah, so
Yeah, I think that thinking like that gives you it's a sort of focus, I guess.
yes, yes,
It can feel sometimes a bit claustrophobic having to like not let your mind wander and just next up is this or that. But it's a good education, and then you can decide: do I want to stick to this life or not? But it's good to have that experience, I feel.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, again, everybody, because it's Ilsa's evening time, and I don't want to abuse the privilege of us talking.
Oh, you're not. You're not.
Well,
I'm
but
happy
it's
to be
always
here.
great. Room service.
Yes.
We're in the final days of the Kickstarter.
Yes. 3 more days, and then it's out.
Yep, and
So if
that's
you're
exciting.
interested, it's better to back right now.
Well, and again, look at these amazing variant covers from some of our favorite artists in comics, including Ilsa. So this is great, and it's a terrific idea. I'm so glad you're all doing this. My best to PK, and I hope to
Well
talk
done.
to James in a few weeks. But as always, Elsa, it's a great pleasure to talk to you. Whenever do you want to tease any other projects we don't know about before we wrap up?
No, I
And
think
again,
that's
what you
it.
can. Okay, fair enough. Again, you're
That's it.
busy enough. Yes,
Yes.
so love Everlasting issue 9 coming, and
Yeah.
otherwise the focus is on room service, both the comic
It is.
and
It
the
is
film.
hardcore.
That's great.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for having me again. It's always a pleasure.
Well, and I feel the same way. And everybody, thanks a lot for watching. Tomorrow night,
Yep.
I'm
For
going
your
to talk to.
questions and thoughts. Yeah.
Indeed. Tomorrow night, I'm talking to Brian Edward Hill, the
Oh.
fantastic comic writer who also is killing it as one of the writers on the TV show Titans on HBO Max. And they've just started their 4th season, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
Wow.
And that's, again, Ilsa starts off a great week of Word Balloon Live. So, everybody, thanks for watching. And we'll talk to you soon. Stay safe, stay happy, stay healthy.
Yep. Bye bye.